Hey, welcome back to Bill Faith Unfiltered. I am in Phoenix, Arizona with a very good friend of mine, Billy Jinks. He is a very successful entrepreneur. He owns multiple businesses here in, what is this called? Like the Coachella Valley? What's the name of this place outside of Phoenix?
Oh, Valley of the Sun,
Where are we? Are we in Scottsdale? Is
Scottsdale.
that where we're at?
Yeah,
Nice. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me.
my
Thanks for
pleasure.
dressing up. I mean,
I tried.
it's a pretty good day for you.
Business casual.
Yeah, I like that. Look, I'm in sweats and everything too, so we match.
Night every day.
Billy is the owner of Jet Limousine. Probably, I don't know if you're the largest company, one of the largest companies in all of Arizona. You're a pretty young dude and you've owned this company for how long?
This one, 12 years,
12 years. How old are you?
35.
35. How did you get into the ground transportation business?
Long story. Childhood fascination in elementary school. Turned working for a friend's company. Turned to talking to my parents on the time to buying a car to kind of get more involved with that company and kind of had a falling out. So it got brought back to us, sat in our backyard for a while, and then junior high school days were trying to rent it out at night and weekends and
So
couldn't
what
get
was
it
your
going.
fascination with it? Couldn't have been with like a limo company or a bus company. You mean
No,
like a
not
fascination with
individual.
cars?
Limos for whatever reason. My grandpa used to rent them a lot. We do stuff like birthdays, trips to the airport, and things like that.
Because your fascination today is like with high-end exotic cars. Just another business you have. You flip those, right?
A little bit. Buses are still big. That limos kind of transition to buses, but it all. I don't know. I love cars. Love moving people, and
It's a hard business, man.
it is. It has its days.
It does. There's no question. And as you get bigger, I think it gets more challenging.
More problems. Yeah.
The problems become bigger. They happen more often. How do you deal with that? So I remember the first time you and I really got to spend some serious time together was actually here at the mastermind meeting in Scottsdale. And that was in September of 2020. I don't know if you remember, I had my first hurricane going through my houses and Gulf Shores and everything. You are a completely different company today than you were in 2020. I think you were doing like 5, 6 million back then with maybe like 30, 40, 50 vehicles. You might have had what, maybe 4 or 5 motor coaches. Now tell me about the makeup of your company.
So now we are about 100 vehicles. I think we're gonna do 19 million this year, and half of those are buses. 40 of the full size, and then
When you
about
say
10.
buses, you're talking like full-size motor
Yeah, like
coaches?
the full size tour, like Prevost.
And then you also have mini buses, sprinters,
Yeah,
that type of stuff,
sprinters.
right?
Still have two limos. A lot of SUVs, sedans, and then the sprinters.
So for people that are watching this on YouTube, listening to this, what does that look like? Because when I use the word limo company, people think, oh, hey, you know what? I took a limo to prom or I used a limo for my wedding, but you are much bigger than that. And obviously I know your business better than,
Most.
yeah, but we were just talking, you're in Vegas all the time. You're in LA all the time. And I know you have stuff going over the road to Colorado and Texas and all that type of stuff. How do you manage that with 100 vehicles?
You know, it comes down to having a good team. When we were smaller, it was tough. Just one or two people. You know, if you have a breakdown middle of the night with people, you have to handle that quickly. So we've really built an amazing team, a good GM, a good director of maintenance, good mechanics, and all that makes it so much easier. But it's still challenging. Logistics and fuel prices, interest rates, parts, availability of parts is really tough. So it's a lot of things.
Insurance?
Insurance is brutal. Insurance has doubled and tripled in the last few years.
So if you have 100 employees, how many, or 100 vehicles, how many employees do you have? And how many of those are like drivers that are driving the vehicles versus in-house staff?
I think we're right around 100 drivers now. Mechanics, cleaners, we're probably 25-ish.
Wow, that's a lot. And
Yeah.
then office staff inside, like sales and dispatch and stuff
So
like that?
mechanics with them is about 25.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
about 20 in the office.
And why do you do this still? You got almost a $20 million company. You know, you and I had a conversation a couple of days ago and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Why do you want to scale? Why do you want to grow? You're making good money now. You bought another business
Yeah.
2 years ago, right? Almost, I don't want to say to the day, but really pretty close to 2 years ago. You've been through 2
We
seasons
just did
now.
our second season. Yeah.
What's the name of the company? Is it Salt River Rafting?
Salt River Tubing.
Salt River Tubing. And it's a pretty cool thing. I got to do
It
it
is.
last summer.
Been around 45 years now. The original owner started it. So I'm the second owner, but it's kind of an icon in our valley. I mean, everyone goes, everyone knows what it is. It's a generational thing. You know, grandparents went, their kids still go, and all of our vendors, when I was changing things over, payroll, shirts, business cards, everyone was freaking out because everyone knows about it, but they never really knew there's a person behind it. It's kind of one of those things you think like the government or it's just there. You don't, there's not a person behind it. So we've kind of taken it to the next level with social media and getting the name out more, which has been a lot of fun.
So here's what's crazy for those of you guys at home. I remember when you first started and you told me the numbers of how many tubes on a Saturday they're running down that river. I think it was like 6,000, correct?
That was a good day. Yeah. Saturday.
Yeah. And so what's like an average day look like for you? Not 4th of July weekend, but just like an average Saturday, Sunday this year, 2 years later.
So that is our numbers now. I think they're in the 3 and 4 thousand. So we've gotten to six, almost 7,000 on a busy day with new systems and the way we do things and processes.
So what is that? Give me some examples of some things that you changed to make it more efficient or more profitable.
So the big thing before was you'd have to stand in line, get a tube, drag your tube to another line, wait in line for a small bus, and then get dropped off, and then repeat on the backside. So we swapped out the whole fleet for like larger capacity, and then we changed the way you get your tubes. So now you just get a wristband. We have QR codes, so the check-in process is minutes. You get a wristband, and you just get on a bus and go. And then we have box trucks that do all the heavy lifting, take the tubes to the top. So you get out, grab your tube, and hit the water rather than lug everything around and take up more time and space.
How much revenue you do this last summer just in ice?
I don't know. I need to look that up,
I'm
but
sure
that
that's
was
pretty
it
significant.
was big. It's something that they didn't offer, and they're in the desert and they're 20, 30 miles from town. So even if you buy ice, by the time you get it there, it's melted.
Yeah, and I
Or if
mean,
you forget it, how many people forget it?
and everybody's rather, I don't know if it's legal or not. They're taking their ice chests, they're sneaking beer, whatever it is, and they got to keep it cold, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's all legal. There's no glass, so we do a pretty good job of making sure people don't bring that because it's dangerous.
Right.
Drop it or step on it. But lots of little things that people need and want, but it didn't offer.
It's interesting because today the rage in business is really, baby boomers are retiring and dying and they're selling their businesses and it's allegedly the largest, change in generational wealth. And everybody's talking about, self-serve laundromats and, car washes and that type of stuff. But you've taken a very old school business. How long did the original owner own it? Wasn't it like
43 years.
43 years?
Yeah.
And I'm sure when were we here, Chris? Like last June or May when we saw it,
I
and I'm
think
sure
it
you
was
made some.
our first year.
Correct, correct.
No, but you came actually after it closed. We opened up
That's
especially
right.
for you guys.
That's right. And I'm sure you've made a lot more improvements to that. So how have the things that you've done, whether it's the wristbands, the QR codes, the box trucks, that type of stuff, how has that increased operational efficiency and profit?
Completely. Not only that, but user experience, the employee experience. The employees are happy. They have tools. It's fast and fun. But the reviews we get are wild, especially because we have people that come dozens of times per year and have been coming for years. So to hear their stories on what it was like, what it's like now, and how that's changed for them has been pretty neat. There's a lot of people that refuse to come back because they didn't want to wait in line for 4 hours.
Right.
To no fault of the old owners, they did an amazing job and
It's
built an
fucking
icon.
115 degrees out there.
It
I don't want to
is.
wait in line for 4 hours
But
either.
that's how popular it was.
Really?
So that's what's neat with my other business is having the tools already with the large tour buses and everything like that. We can help on busy days like Saturdays with that influx of people. So there's never really a big line or waiting time.
So you're sending Prevos out there to supplement some days?
We do.
Wow, that's crazy.
Only
So
on the front half because that's when everybody's dry.
right.
So they're just waiting, and then everyone comes off at different times. So it's easier to bring them back in the bus.
So you're just consistently running line shuttles on the way back
the time.
then? Just turn and
and
burn.
then recycle. So as soon as tubes come off at the end, we put them in a truck and they go right to the top again. So we never really run out.
It's like something that people wouldn't think about. I mean, obviously I was out there and it's a good drive. I mean, from Scottsdale, it's like 40 minutes,
Yeah.
right? So, and when we went out there, I didn't see anything out there. There's no grocery stores, strip centers, no gas stations. Something as simple as if those buses are just going all day long, how do you get them refueled?
We have a mobile truck that comes out and takes care of them.
So you have your own
Yeah.
tanks out there
Yeah.
and they're filling up the tanks and then they just go to the shop or whatever and then they're filling up.
Correct.
Those are the things that I think a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, the behind the scenes is really neat to see how it all works.
Right.
So before I bought it, just seeing it work and seeing what you could do differently and the way the two businesses mesh was really cool.
So you got a 19 to $20 million limousine company, ground transportation company, motor coaches, the whole thing, and Jet Limousine. You may not be the biggest in, all of Arizona, but I think you're one of the most respected. That's for sure.
We try to be. That's the goal.
And then, you've got the tubing business, which it's I'm sure pretty lucrative.
It's fun.
It's a lot of fun. And then you also, do some flipping with like exotic cars. I know you kind of have, I don't want to say maybe it is a fascination with nice cars, exotic cars. I've seen some Lambos, some Rolls-Royce Ghosts. You and I share, passion for Raptors, that type of stuff. So how did you get into that and how does flipping vehicles like that work?
It's kind of unique, I guess, with the limo company because a lot of cars that, I would like to have personally actually fit really good in the business. So, a staple in the limo industry is an S class,
Right.
which I like.
Like a Mercedes S500.
Yeah. But I'd really like an S65, which is the V12 and nicer back seat. So it's fun to be able to offer one because you're the only one in town. You have the coolest car. You run it, make some money, and then you could, if you get a good deal, flip it and do well. Or at least if you break even, you're making all that revenue while you have it. So
So, I mean, you got to be buying those things right. How do you source and buy those things? You're not just going on to cars.com to find those
no,
things, are you?
it's tough. You just got to be patient. I mean, sometimes you find deals like that, but sometimes bank repos, sometimes just word of mouth. We just bought some coaches that were pretty well priced because someone needed to generate revenue for something in the business. So if you're there and you're ready, especially if you have cash nowadays, even if you plan on financing, if you can buy cash to get it and do it quick and then go back and refi it later.
And is there anywhere in Phoenix or Scottsdale that do like the exotic car rentals here?
Yeah, I think there's a few.
So I remember a few years back when I was here and went to your office, you had a Ghost.
Turo.
Yeah. So was that what you were doing? Were you
No.
renting it through the limousine company or would you Turo it or?
So some of them we tried Turo, especially during COVID when it was slow. I know some people that kill it on Turo. For us, it's tough because it's so saturated. I feel like now that the rates are low,
Right.
and then if people tear them up, we have downtime because we use them for our service. But it's hard to let a car go to someone for a day or two when sometimes 2 or 3 trips will do the same cost.
Right.
So
That makes total
it doesn't
sense.
really work the best for us right now. I mean, had a time and place.
I think Turo is an interesting business model and it's very market specific.
Yeah.
So, like, I've got a few properties up in Whitefish, Montana, and there literally is no four-wheel drive vehicles there. And I have one of my mastermind members that is running 8 Suburbans, which you can pick up for 40 grand, for a 2020 or a 2021 at $300 to $350 a day on like 80% utilization.
Yeah, you can't that's sweet when it works out that way. It was
You're talking
just
15K a month on a fucking Suburban.
yeah, it's sweet.
Multiply that times 8, you're talking $1 million business.
Yeah.
I've so wanted to get into that, but I just don't want the headache of having to deal with it. But, regulations, we were talking about regulation in Los Angeles, regulation in Vegas here. Regulation is a deal that I always want to stay away from. One of the only reason I didn't do it in Whitefish is because they stopped to where you can not drop off at the airport.
Yeah. And
So
that's probably a big chunk of the business.
yeah, and it makes it impossible for somebody that's, flying in. They're gonna have to take an Uber or something to go pick up the vehicle.
Yeah, and people don't want that. It's all about convenience, so
Right, 100%. So, Billy, what do you're 35, good-looking dude. What do you do for fun? What are your hobbies outside of, driving jet boats?
work. I guess I volunteer with the sheriff's office. I've done that for 12 years. So although that's more work, that's kind of a
You love doing that
I
though,
do.
right? So tell everybody what is that? What do you do?
So it's a volunteer thing. There's different things you can do. The route I took was kind of like a patrol assistance thing. So I get to work with the deputies on the road. In my case, I work in it's a division called Lake Patrol now. So I did some extra certifications. I'm an airboat operator, which is fun. So in the summer,
That's not working. I mean, you took me on a ride for that
it's
thing. That's
not.
just like
It's fun.
getting paid to have joy rides down the river.
Yeah, I mean it's volunteer, and there's good days and bad days. There's some rough days. Sometimes you see people at their worst, and you see terrible, horrible things you never want to see. But then there's amazing days where you save someone's life or help them, and to me, they're some of my best friends. So I get to go hang out on the weekend with my best friends and do cool things. So I love it.
So, what's the biggest thing that you struggle with as an entrepreneur, especially with two big businesses? Too, we're not talking, a $500,000 a year coffee shop or an auto detailing company or something here. You've got a $19 million ground transportation company and a nice rafting company as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure our struggles are the same as most people, but, insurance, interest rates, parts,
Labor,
labor's gotten a lot better. We've got some really good team members now. I think, we pay a really good wage, we have benefits, we have nice vehicles, we're nice people, so that helps. I think my biggest struggle is sometimes I take things too personally and stress out over things. So, if people are upset or rumors or they're not happy, that I don't know why I lit it, but eats away at me and it
right?
really bugs me. So I try and really
That's
focus
because
on that.
you give a shit.
Yeah, sometimes maybe too much. Sometimes I struggle because we had
People think because you're in great shape too, and that you're fairly young, right? What'd you say, you're 35?
yeah,
That you're just a strong, big dude. They don't understand the emotion behind it, right? I
there's a
mean, I'm a
lot.
pretty emotional guy
I
too. I
am
mean,
too.
shit, I've cried in front of 1,000 people live before,
I did it the other day. But yeah, it's tough, because you care about the well-being of your employees and you want them to be happy. And there's good days and bad days. It's awesome when you drive down the highway and you see one of your vehicles filled with people that are
right?
enjoying it. It's really cool when you walk out in the parking lot and, it's different from 5 years ago. But you walk out in the parking lot and you see our drivers take their work vehicle and put their personal vehicle back in the spot. So when you start seeing, BMWs and Challengers and like cool stuff, they're doing well, and that's a cool feeling. But it's tough trying not to put too much emotion into things that you can't control.
Right.
And I'm bad at that. So
So, what does a day in the life of Billy Jinks look like today versus like 7 years ago? What's the difference?
similar, I think, on the pro side, I was fully consumed by work and never did anything, which I guess I still probably am, but
You're a workaholic.
yeah,
I don't even see you riding your Sea-Doos anymore,
seldom.
and doing any of that fun stuff. I mean, I might have to have a discussion with your mother,
Yeah,
to get you to get out away from the office and do some shit.
it's tough. What's nice though now is when I do get away, we have such a amazing team that I don't have that stressed out feeling when I leave. So if I left for something like this 5 years ago, I would be looking at my phone every 2 minutes and stressing out till I could get back.
And you're just gone for a couple hours.
Yeah. So now I can actually like put my phone on do not disturb and
What is the
not freak out.
longest amount of time you have left your business, no phone calls, no emails, no Slacks, not checking in with your mother in the last 3 years?
Probably never. I mean, a day maybe max.
How come?
I don't know. Good question. Because I trust them. They do an amazing job. I like to be involved and I like to help. And, I probably could more. I
But you're
think we're
but you're not
just
free.
not yet. Um,
Do you believe you could walk away from your business for 3 days with 0 communication and the business would be in as good a shape
yeah,
or better?
I do. Now I do,
Could you do
which is
5
nice.
days?
Probably.
Could you do a week?
I think over a week would be tough.
Why? What changes between 3 days and a week?
Opportunity. I probably don't have a good answer for that yet.
I'm gonna challenge you as your friend and
Yeah.
a former coach of yours to, let's fucking figure that out.
Yeah.
Because I want you to be able to go to Cabo or wherever you wanna go for 7 days,
No passport.
and what's that?
No passport.
You can, though,
I know.
but you're unwilling to,
True.
right? Because 1, you love it so much. You love your team, your mom works with you at one of your businesses, it's family, all that type of stuff. But the business, in my opinion, isn't measured the success by how much money you make, like the 19 million. It's when you can leave it and it's better off when you come back. And I look at you've seen me grow. I mean, you knew me before him. And now, I mean, shit, I'm going skiing for 42
That's
days this
awesome.
winter,
It's crazy.
which I could have never
Yeah.
done, in the limo space or anything like that. Me and you are very, very similar. That's why I'm grilling you like this, because it's been so hard for me to let go too.
Yeah. I just take a day off and I get bored. I have to do something. So I think if,
You need a fucking hobby,
the other work is my hobby, I guess, but I need
right?
another one.
You need to rebuy the Sea-Doos or start going sea-doing.
Yeah.
Golf,
I used to do that a
hunting,
lot.
gun. You like guns? Do you
I
ever
do.
go to the range? You ever
Yeah.
go out to the desert?
Not as much as I should, but
All right, that's my mission. Chris, make a note. We got to get Billy a new hobby. I mean, obviously you're spending a lot of time in the gym. You're like the most yoked I've seen you.
I'm trying, but eating is tough,
Eating's always tough for,
especially in this business.
yeah, where are
or
we
both
going to eat tonight?
businesses. Somewhere
You
good.
said like Mastro's or something like that.
Toka, maybe.
It's gonna be and I just had a fucking double-double for lunch. I mean, dude, I'm 80 pounds down from when I was here with you in 2020. Outside of struggling to find a hobby and something to do to where, you don't wanna turn into be my age at 51 and still just becoming a workaholic. What's some of the things that you struggle with as an entrepreneur that you see similarities in both businesses? Because the one thing I see is just you need to let go and put Billy first. I know you so well. You love your team. You love your staff. You put them in front of you
Oh,
all the
100%.
all the time.
And some of 'em I have 2 of my best friends that work at Jet, so it's work and there's bad days, but, some days before I came here, I was just sitting in dispatch and ate lunch and was cracking up laughing and just having fun, and so I love it. I like going to work. I mean, there's not too many bad days where I get up and say, "Oh, I don't wanna go," but
I think that's amazing. I'm trying to get you to go down a path of, going and doing stuff outside of work, but my whole life plan is about meshing business and work together.
yeah,
And I love that. And I mean, I don't talk to very many people like yourself that absolutely love going to work. Doesn't matter how successful or unsuccessful their business is. So I mean, I commend you for that.
I do. I love it. I get up and I wanna go. Sometimes I get up late and I'm like, "Oh," but it's fun. Every day's different. We drive some of the coolest people. We do amazing things. Like a friend of mine said a couple weeks ago, I posted something else on Instagram, and he said, I went through your whole Instagram, and some of the things that you do see and people you have met is wild that came from a bus company. And when you think of it, it's weird. I mean, I have pictures on, Air Force One and with country artists and like the craziest things, and it's all opportunities from the limo company. And then the tubing company came from volunteering on my sheriff thing, which is a hobby. I sat across the street, the substation's right across from the tubing company, and I used to sit there all the time and just daydream and like, man, if I brought my buses here and did this, this, and this, I would fix that. And then the opportunity finally came up and we made something happen. So everything has kind of happened from the business, and it's some of the most fun, crazy, cool things I've ever gotten to do.
I've had been, obviously I was in the limo space like you were, and golf, I met a lot of amazing, famous people, that type of stuff. But you're right. And I was in the limo space for much shorter of a period of time than you were. But still, I mean, to meet Bruce Springsteen, I got to do a presidential motorcade with 18 vehicles from Smyrna Airport outside of Nashville down to Bonnaroo, and then sit, backstage for an entire freaking weekend hanging out with him and his wife and Manny, my lead chauffeur,
It's wild.
in the like motorhome,
Yeah.
which is and I'm not a fan of his, but that was just, those cool experiences you don't get working in a freaking office.
No, I have a guitar behind my desk that's signed by Toby Keith, who I love, and I drove him, and, you can't ask for
Right, right.
pictures and autographs, so you just do your thing and, enjoy the experience, and a couple days later, I kinda vented a little bit that he was quiet, and I was kinda bummed out, because he was in town opening back in the day, he opened some bars here in Mesa, and, like, 2 days later, his manager walked in the office and had a guitar case and came up, and he's like, "Hey, Toby wanted me to thank you for everything. He's sorry he was quiet, he was stressed out, but you did a great job. He wanted you to have this," and it was a signed guitar, and
That's a sign of the cool people.
it's amazing.
And I think there's more of them in the celebrity world than people realize because it's all the TMZ BS on TV and stuff like
It's
that.
whatever sells and gets ratings, but, I mean, some of the country artists I've met and talked to and been a part, just some of the coolest people.
Right. I agree. Well, hey man, I really appreciate you jumping on my podcast, hanging out. Appreciate you buying me dinner tonight.
Definitely. That's gonna be fun.
I'm buying.
I'll buy.
Where are we going? City Hall? No, we're gonna go to Toka. What was the name of
Worst
the other
case, I
place?
wanna go to Toka, but it's always booked.
We should just go walk in
We
and
could
slip them a C note and
could
grab
do
a
that.
table or something.
Take a fun car and
Yeah. What are we taking?
find something.
I can't fit in a Lambo, just FYI. Too big for a Lambo.
First world problem.
It is. Awesome. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in to Bill Faeth Unfiltered. If you learned even one thing today, and the biggest takeaway for me is love your business. And number two, don't be afraid to acquire businesses that are old school that you can make new school. We didn't talk about the numbers at all, but I have a pretty good idea what happened to those profit margins over the last 2 years. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next episode of Bill Faeth Unfiltered.